Morning, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. My name is Nisi, and I am a construction project manager working for the Department of Human Settlements. Um, we have started the year on a good high, I can say. We're still in January, and we are now attending our first installment of the CESA Leadership and Management Seminars. These seminars have about close to since 2019 when they started. And these are platforms that CESA YPF has created within its spaces to share more knowledge with the young people that are within the company, but also studying civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical, all the engineering disciplines. So within our midst now, we have the amazing guests who managed to come physically to attend the session, but also we have those that are online. So I welcome you all. So in terms of housekeeping rules, I would just like to give everybody this heads up. Please do not unmute yourself. When you have a question, please do wait for the end of the session. Then we will have an interacting moment for everyone to then ask questions. And then we can then address all those questions. But in our midst, we have two great people that I would be introducing now. We have Refilwe Mokoena, who will be representing CESA YPF. I'll go more into the details. And then we also have Mr. A.B. Taylor, who will also be giving us a story of his life about the journey that he's had within engineering. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by opening our session by giving the podium to Refilwe Mokoena, who is like I said, she serves on the South African, on the CESA, South Committee, and she's also a senior researcher at CSIR. She has a stint of knowledge in terms of pavement and road transportation. She's doing her master's as well that she's completed. So with that, she's just going to give us more about what CESA YPF does. So I'll give it to you, Refilwe.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Refilwe Mokoena. I'm currently serving as a events coordinator at the Gauteng South branch of CESA. And today I've been asked to give an overview of the YPF, who we are and what we're about. This is the contents of the presentation today. It will be a brief one, just to give you an idea of the objectives of CESA YPF, the disciplines that consist of our membership, the main activities that we participate and coordinate, as well as the structure of the committees and the volunteerism and supports that we receive from the CESA member firms. So for those of you who are not familiar with YPF, the YPF is the Young Professionals Forum of the Consulting Engineers South Africa Voluntary Association. The YPF is a group of young professionals who are passionate about the engineering industry and are interested in ensuring the sustainability of engineering skills for the country.
You're on mute.
Just a restart.
Kia, can you hear us from also? Yes, they can hear us.
So can I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just start off on this slide again. For those who were not able to hear, just on the CESA objectives, it's on promoting the engineering and built environment careers the consulting engineering industry as a whole, as well as CESA. We aim to support the retention of young professionals within the engineering space, as well as building capacity and knowledge amongst members of the YPF. We also strive to share information and providing networking opportunities for young professionals, as well as hosting information sessions that aid professional registration. The members represent a diverse range of disciplines within the engineering industry, where CESA has a member base across the country that totals more than 580 companies, and CESA is the custodian of the well-being of the industry, and it is supported very strongly by the member firms who employ approximately 19,000 people. YPF membership is available to all qualified young professionals and students in the engineering environment that are younger than the age of 36 years old. To give you an idea of some of the main activities that CESA YPF initiates and engages in, shadowing. We do participate and organize job shadowing initiatives within the engineering space to attract with a maths, science, and engineering background. It also includes the Young Professional Sustainability in Diesel that was launched in August 2013, as well as the CESA AON Engineering Excellence Awards, where we do give awards to the Mentor of the Year, acknowledge young engineers in the profession, as well as mentoring companies that are assisting their young professionals in professional registration. There's also the CESA Indaba, FIDIC Africa, and FIDIC Infrastructure Conference. Just to give you an idea also on some of the initiatives and events that the Gauteng South branch of YPF has been engaged in. Some of these include a financial literacy talk that was hosted at the Alan Gray offices in Rosebank. And this truly was an inspiring session where our distinguished speakers shared insights on unlocking our greatest earning potential, learning about financial literacy and the different types of investment vehicles. One of our speakers also shared his insights and experience in investing in property in South Africa, just to give you an idea of the diverse subject matters that we engage in as young professionals. And also one event that I would like to just highlight while we're on the topic of main activities for 2023, our first event was an exclusive leadership talk that featured 2 industry powerhouses and was geared at inspiring our young professionals to be successful leaders in their respective fields. Our speakers shared each of their insights on what it takes to be a successful leader and how to navigate the challenges and obstacles that come with the journey. And I must say this event really was an inspiring event that highlights the importance of hard work, dedication, as well as an overall commitment to excellence in being a successful leader. And to this day, I still do strive to implement the lessons that our speakers shared with us during this event. The YPF committees, the CESA YPF consists of an executive committee and a national steering committee that is chaired by a national chairperson. And there are also branch committee chairpersons that facilitate activities in 12 regions. The YPF is operated on a non-profit basis. And so it relies on sponsorship support from the different CESA member firms, as well as other companies that seek to grow young professionals and understand the importance of developing young professionals in the industry. Our forum relies on all of the incredible committee members who volunteer their time to ensure the smooth running of the forum by planning and coordinating all the events and networking platforms for like-minded professionals in the engineering space. And it really wouldn't be possible without the hard work that all the committee members do put in. And last, but definitely not least, we do want to acknowledge the sponsors who make all of the CESA YPF activities possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Refiga, for that amazing presentation. I think personally, listening to the hard work that CESA YPF actually performs, it just reminds me as well that all these efforts that young people are putting in is actually a voluntary basis. And that says a lot to the young professionals that are performing these leadership positions. And it speaks a lot to why we actually had this seminars, right? To make sure that we give exposure to the young people who are already in industry, who are making sure that they wanna navigate correctly within the industry. So I think my first question, and just maybe throw you in the deep end, personally, what is it that you have seen as a benefit for yourself over and above the programs that is run within CESA YPF? So from your side, what would you say benefited?
I did mention in the talk and the presentation, I think one of the major benefits that stand out for me is the opportunity to network with other young professionals that are in the same space as you, that perhaps are going through some of similar challenges that what you are going through, especially in the pursuit of professional registration and becoming successful leaders. So just to be able to engage with other young professionals in the same space for me has been one of the highlights. Excuse me. Especially, so this is a bit personal to me, especially because I am more in the research industry, still within engineering, but within the research space, it really provides a great opportunity to still connect with the rest of the professionals in the engineering space and to hear where some linkages might be between our different fields. So definitely the networking is great for me.
Thank you very much. I think that's a beautiful answer in terms of your personal experience. And now having to actually have a platform like this, where we are honored to have such I would call it a diverse, meaning the young and the matured professionals speaking. What do you personally expect from when, as CESA YPF, you guys were preparing to have today's session? What is it that you are hoping to expect? Must give out from yourself, obviously from the committee when you guys were presenting this.
Firstly, I think it's important to be able to make people aware, especially other young professionals, as well as the more seasoned and experienced professionals within the space, that they can also give the support to each of their young professionals that are in the same organization or operating in the same spaces. So that was one of the main objectives of making sure that we have such events, was to create awareness within the between the young professionals. And also it's been very, as much as it is targeted, and one of the objectives is to create networking platforms and opportunities. One of the things that has also been a major benefit is leaning on the experience of more seasoned professionals. And it's always great to hear what, the insights of the more experienced professionals in our space are able to provide us and that we can learn from. So
beautiful. Yeah. No, beautiful. I hope Mr. Taylor has taken some of the notes there, because over and above those that have joined us online, we definitely have an amazing audience here with us. So our next speaker will be Mr. A.B. Taylor, who's a professional engineer, And his position currently is the director at Mileti Consulting and is current FIDIC Africa president. Also was CESA president previously. And then with his experience, he is professionally registered as a civil engineer with over 30 years experience in water supply and management, municipal engineering and infrastructure development. His experience ranges from design, contract documentation and administration, and has executed a number of projects for both public and private sector clients. He was the team leader for the audit of the implementation and construction progress of the new Soccer City Stadium worth over 3 billion in construction value. He's currently executive director and chairman of the Mileti Consulting and president, as I said, of FIDIC. AB was awarded the South Africa's Best Performer Professional Engineer in 2016 by South African Professional Services Award. And if we could, and if we're in an auditorium, I'd definitely say, let's give our guest speaker, who's our keynote, a round of applause. But for that, I think online people can click the online the round of applause button there. So welcome to you. Thank you very much. Welcome to you, Mr. Taylor. It's a pleasure to have you with us in our midst. I do know that from personal experience, you've taken a back seat in a lot of things. But I think with what you are doing currently in industry, it would be interesting to know how you were able to get here to this level of excellence. I'll call it excellence because when you are here, personally, I consider you somebody who has a wealth of knowledge, but also within the industry has been well recognized. So when you were, before we go into our questions, I first want to know, when you were approached to come and present to us today from a YP perspective, what did you have in mind, and how has preparing for this session been?
Thank you very much, Lozi, and good morning. I see my entire Pretoria office YPs in the house. It's actually thanks to them that I was able to come in person, because I had already made arrangements with Godfrey that I will do it online. But yeah, he colluded with my guys and a bit of pressure on me. And here I am. Godfrey, thank you very much for the invite. Fortunately, Godfrey and I spoke. I think I was supposed to come here last year or a year before. So I already had an idea of what one needs to talk about, and my talk is going to be anchored on my journey, and even long before I became an engineer. And yeah, I will hear what questions you have for me and try as best as I could to respond to those. If you can just excuse my voice, I have a touch of flu, but I will try to project.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. I'm glad to know that we've been in your mind since last year. So those that have been thinking that we had forgotten about them, we actually are kicking off the year on a good note. So I think my first question, with what you said, you have been in engagement with Godfrey, but also you've been very much involved within voluntary organizations such as CESA, FIDIC, either on a professional level, but also maybe to also spill the beans. I probably also know that you are involved within the community as well. So it then becomes an interesting question for me to understand what makes an engineer who's well-rounded, because we have a lot of young people who are listening now and are asking themselves, how can I have, I'll use this word for the term of our interview or session. How can I get to a point where I'm gray head, yet I also am, contributing within the industry? How did you get here? Because we do understand that as an engineer, you offer services to communities, but also you also are not an island. So how is it that, what support did you get to this part of your life? And what type of family structures do you believe played a role in you getting to this level? Thanks.
Dozie, I will go back a little while. I'm an engineer by accident.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I think up until 1980, I think some of you are not born. Up until 1980, I didn't know what engineering was. There was a doctor in our community, and I looked up to that man, and I wanted to be a doctor because that's the only professional I could relate to in our community. There were not a lot of black engineers. I later came to know a few, Babu, Truman Goba, and a few others, and my past chairman, Stanford Mkachan, who came a good few years into engineering before me. But then in 1982, the industry came together. The construction industry, contractors and consulting engineers, they form an organization known as Protec. I don't know if you guys have come across that. So what Protec did, it came to our high schools. I was still in high school, and it encouraged us to take engineering as a career. So 1982, I think it was in March, that was the first time I came across engineering. And yeah, you'll help me. I was in grade, in standard 8, is it grade 10?
Grade 10. Grade 10,
yeah. Yeah, I always mix these things up. So they came, encouraged us, and took us on site visits to construction sites. The network of freeways, the one we see around us, it was built around that time. I remember we came here under Charlie's and those places. This N1 was built around that time. So we visited this. We visited the Val. There were canals being built, and I really got fascinated and interested in this thing called engineering. We even went to mechanical engineering firms, and we were exposed there, and they took us in, a few of us in our school. It was 3 of us. They started a Saturday class program. We attended Saturday classes. So I used to attend at West University, but I then went to this one. They provided us with a stipend. 2, there were sandwiches and cold drinks. So yeah, that's. Then we attended those Saturday classes. During vacation work, we worked for, I'll call it work, for these engineering companies. I did at work, still in high school at Frankie Pine here in Weinberg. And I really got fascinated. So you will understand why I say I became an engineer by accident. Otherwise, I should be a doctor in a white coat. Yeah, I then to fast track, and then enrolled or firstly applied to a number of institutions, including Wits University, all the liberal universities. They accepted me, but I wanted to help at home, help my mother. My father passed on in 1982, many years back, and there's 7 of us at home, and I'm the second born. I wanted to help out at home. So the idea of studying at Technicon 6 months and working 6 months, I got attracted to that idea, and came January 1985, went to Tech because I had applied to them. They've given me a provisional acceptance. I got there, and they asked me a question as to whether I did apply to government to be able to study in a white institution, a ministerial consent. And I said, no, didn't know that I needed to apply. Then they told me I must apply before they can enroll me. I asked logically, how long is this application going to take? The person I was talking to didn't know, 6 months, a year. And I said, wow, what will I be doing at that time? I could go to Soshanguve, but I didn't like it, and went home, thought about this new curveball. I then the following day decided to go to Wits University because they had accepted me with no conditions, because they were a liberal university at that time. So those conditions, they had dropped them long ago. So I registered without having a bursary to pay for my university fees. I only had a bursary from a mechanical engineering firm, and that was for technical. So I took a chance. Another becoming an engineer by accident. I took a chance, enrolled at Wits in 1988. I graduated. I'm telling this story, the before engineering story, so that we understand the political context within which some of us grew up in. It wasn't only toy, there were also other dynamics. So yeah, life in general in engineering is operating within a context of politics. We have politics these days, which I'll probably talk about later. I then started to work. Marian Roberts came in, sponsored me. The best sponsorship. I had medical aid while at university. When I started to work for them in 1989, I always said to this, I had more money when I was a student. When I was worked for them for a year, out building the entry on site. If you drive to Devon and see one of the bridges, the one that is standing still, you must know it's my bridge. So I spent the entire year on the entry in the morning. Monday mornings, they will pick me up from home. Then I will come back Friday evening or Saturday morning. Then, because they sponsored me, they didn't give me a car. So there was someone who would pick me. Yeah, and they made a mistake. End of 1989, because work was, I'm going to get to those politics late. Work was trying out at that junction, and they didn't have a lot of project. They then released me from my contractual obligations. Yeah, so they've all this money, pocket money, medical aids, tuition, and accommodation. So I had to work 1 year instead of 4 years. Accidentally, they released me, but someone then realized that no, they have work, I think, in Richards Bay. So they called me back. I said, no, here's a letter. I'm a free agent. Then I had already spoken to Arab. I think nowadays they are called Arab. I had spoken to them. One, I think their chairperson at the time was instrumental at Protect, and I had easy access to him. I spoke to him, got interviewed, and started to work for them. A few years, I think that was in 90, 91, 92. Things became bad because of sanctions in the country, and they then I always say this when encouraging youngsters, particularly those in high school, that I got retrenched. It was a question of a last person in, first out. I think it was an instruction that came from London. Quite a few of us, black and white, were retrenched because of that. But they tried their level best to retain us. We worked 3 days a week, and yeah, they just couldn't make it work. Retrenched. A few of us, they were left with a skeleton staff. I think at this juncture, it's maybe the best place for me to mention that consulting engineering is labor intensive. We use technically qualified and skilled people to do the work. So companies will not just willy-nilly want to retrench people unless they have their backs on the wall financially. I mean, it's the same thing even nowadays. No company wants to just retrench people that they've invested a lot of resources in, because to take in someone new from university technicum, you need to spend a lot of resources on them to come to a level of being comfortable to do their work. So I thought I will just bring this here. So I hold no grudges to Arab. They remained my friends for many years because I continued to be involved at Protec and Clive Macmillan. That's the person who employed me, who arranged employment for me because there was no application, telephone call, and this thing was arranged. I then, at the time, I had already gotten married, 1992, when we were laid off, and we were expecting our second daughter, our first daughter. She's now working in the UK. She's a chartered accountant. Yeah, and got retrenched, and there is a baby. And I remember I owned, or West Bank owned through me this Honda Palette 150, you know, the ones with lights, yeah. And yeah, I owed the money, and there is this baby on the way, and there was just no work. That time around 91, 92, 93, that was leading to the elections. I think the sanctions were intensified, and there was no investment. And my wife, that's where I'm getting to. But then took over. She is a nurse by profession. Fortunately, we didn't have a house. We stayed at my mother's house. We had built. I think some of these guys will understand, 2 rooms and a garage. So I stayed in the garage with my wife. The idea was always to try and help at home so that I don't get a job and run away second born. And my mother has other 5 children to take care of. So yeah, my wife has been a pillar of support and strength all this time. I mean, you can't support a man and his child for the whole year without me, and then paying for the car. And even yes, after that situation, yeah, she continued, which is why she's known here at CESA. Wherever I go, she's with me, because she's sacrificed so much to make sure that I know I have gray hair, but that it's not too gray. Yeah, she's the one who really is supporting me. My 2 daughters also play a huge role in supporting us. The awards that you spoke about, I think I had to them. You were there. I had to them. You were there. I had them in that function, and they screamed their hearts out when my name was called. Yeah, no, so that's the context or the launchpad from where I'm coming, yeah, to what you guys are saying today.
Wow, that's definitely beautiful. That's a beautiful story. I was taking quite some notes and asking, oh, where have I been? Where's this journey going? In terms of personally as well, you know. And I really appreciate and see that it is not merely at your own doing that you're here. And because we had the support of industry companies that were able to either offer you funding, institutions that were able to not just overlook your qualifications, some, even though it was difficult, to still say, no, not today, you know, not this year, the political climate within the country. So indeed, even now in our day and age, we still have those challenges, you know, that are different. You know, either the level of financial dependencies in the households. You know, you mentioned that as well, to say that it was not an easy household to go within because of political climates and you losing your dad. So it's quite close as well to my heart in terms of understanding that the challenges that I personally am going through or could have gone through, somebody else ahead of me has gone through it, but also has succeeded. I just want to understand when you had that support from your family and industry, specifically within industry, what is it that you think, had you not received that support, would have happened? Because a lot of young people now are complaining and saying that there isn't support within industry, and you know, I need to make sure that I do everything on my own. But you created a space for yourself, even within your later years, where you started to volunteer, you know, in organizations, where you raised your hand up, you know, where you said, I can do this or I can't do this. Or so, what is it personally that you think helped you to develop this as a stage of your life when it comes to volunteering within organizations?
Look, because I'm glad you made the statement to the effect that the industry supported me. I always say that I am a product of the industry. I mean, listening to my story, they changed my mind, they funded me, and they supported me even when I became a CESA president. I had so much support from industry, people that I worked with, from Arab, from Van Weken Law, African, Oricon, Zutari. It's one company.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got support from them. Maybe which is why it's easy for me, although at times it comes at a huge cost to nearly to volunteer. It's easy for me because I really see through me what the industry did and achieved, and it's easy for me to say yes. But I'm not campaigning for another position when I step down in May from FEDIC Africa presidency this coming May in Tanzania. I'm stepping down as president of FEDIC Africa, so I will want to spend time with these beautiful guests.
Wow, thank you very much. That's quite encouraging to understand that there was that benefit that you receive from volunteering. Because unfortunately, with volunteering, you only see the results later. Right? And more, there's a famous quote. I don't want to for namesake. And the individual says you can only connect the dots looking backwards, because it's of the the steps that you take, the paths that you take, that then later on we're able to see I'm here because of this, I met this person and then therefore they were able to open up this a door for me, or I was part of this organization and I learned this particular type of skill. And to have then a supporting community around you then only helps you to actually become better within identifying your potential. So I hope this then also encourages some of the young people who are listening within our seminar now to understand that it is important to actually go out there, volunteer your time, and gain experience so that you find yourself in a position where you also network. I think Rafido said it in the beginning to say in these platforms, she wants to also network. And through what you're saying now, that now you are FIDIC president, it means that you were able to be acknowledged and recognized because you were in the trenches. So thank you very much. I think then to move on to another question, which is quite interesting for me, is we are getting to a stage within our country where we are finding a lot of people being interested, especially young people. I've been told there is, unemployment, and because there's unemployment, then by the time you were able, within your generation, you were able to say, I'm gonna start Nyeleti, or I'm gonna now become this person who's private and then no longer is working for a particular company. I want to understand if you can give us a bit of context in terms of what advice would you give to young people? Should you start your own company? Should you, focus on you being just a professional working for an organization, just going up and maybe becoming CEO, or how is it that you've navigated your journey personally?
Yeah, look, before I answer your question, I think there is one bit of information I left out, not deliberately so, forgot to mention. I fully devoted Christian, and the church played a huge role in my life. I remember the church then was still small. We were in a classroom the Sunday before I took off, went to Wits, and I was grateful. That service was just dedicated to me. Nowadays we acknowledge hundreds of people, but then there were a few people who were in our communities who were passing their matric and are going to university. In our church that year, I was the only one, so they prayed for me. I mean, grannies offered money for me. I mean, 5 rands, 50 rands, not something fancy, but that stuck. It stuck with me, and I wouldn't let them down. And I worked so hard that within 4 years I finished my degree, because I had a lot of people who were behind me, believing in me, praying for me. So there must be something bigger than you that supports you. I don't know for some of the young people on the call, but for me, that big person is God. He played through our church a huge role in my life. So you will understand if, I think I need a lot of time because I'm involved in so many other things, including the church, doing exactly what Protect did for me. So I do it in my personal capacity, even at church, my former school, we do the same. Then getting back to your question. Look, it depends on an individual. I feel for young people this day and age, because there is a lot of pressure for young people to start their own companies. I mean, if you are a black woman and engineer registered, there is so much pressure for people to start their own companies. I always say this, I think I said it in 2013, CESA YPF Imbizo, that look, starting a company, it's like childbirth. You young people are pregnant with possibilities, and youth is on your side, and government legislation. If you black lady, black young man, legislation is on your side. But I caution that, look, you need to make sure that you are ready before you launch. I've seen, going back to my pregnancy story, people prematurely launching and not being able to do anything on their own, forever needing assistance from their previous employers. So for me, the best way to go about this is to spend as much time as possible fine-tuning your technical skills. Because remember, when you start a consulting engineering company, you are selling your skills and capability. So at least you need to know how to do your work. And then the other things can be learned, or you can get a coach who coaches you. Yeah, in a few years' time, when I'm retired, I would have a lot of time on my hands. Who can coach you on how to run a business without charging you a lot of money? Getting back to how then I got to nearly Stanford and Stanford and Pine. I'm sure you've met Pine. Stanford, you must know, because it was yeah. No, they started nearly. I think I'm the second oldest Nyeleti employee. There is Mawisa in Polokwane. Yeah, then there is me. Incidentally, Stan, Pine, and Steven, we worked together for another company, consulting engineering company. They were taken over by GIP. Yeah, so and even there, I did not apply. It's an organized job. We Pine and I said at a restaurant here in Santin, the butcher shop. Yeah, and we have been talking for a long time, and they said no. Him and Sanford have started, and they want me to join. I joined, and I was already a director at Africon. They were still Africon those years. I was a director then. And they were also senior in the industry, accomplished. So where I'm getting to is it helped Nyeleti that people who were there when Nyeleti started were already established industry person. I mean, Stephen was already a bridge engineer those years when we, him and me, we joined Nyeleti. So it's good that people start their own companies, but there are also opportunities in our companies. Remember, you can never be a champion for all season. One of these days, we've seen it in the case of Nyeleti, we've seen it with two of our founders. They have retired. So I'm going to retire. So there must be a pipeline of young people who will take over. If people have an edge to lead, there is an opportunity in our existing companies. You don't have to go out and start from scratch. There is an opportunity. It's a question of timing with everything in life. It's a question of time. There might be an urgent push for someone to start now, but I plead for patience. That people must be patient. We're not going to be in 7 years' time. That I can guarantee you. I will be out of Nyeleti because I will be 65, less than 7 years.
I think that it's quite interesting listening to your journey, but also the advice that you give to those that have aspirations, which is something that is encouraged by such platforms to say you must dream, you must aspire for something greater, because young people, the country that we have now, even within the population, the ratio percentage of the older people, adults, and youth, we have more youth. So this then should inspire the young people to then say, even if you want to pursue an engineering career, either being in business, being an entrepreneur, being one who's just straight on employee, specializing within a particular space, you need to do. What I took out from you was three things. First, you need to understand what does it mean to be ready, and by being ready is to say, if I want to become a specialist, what is it that I need to have in a particular space? Something that a lot of young people don't understand, or rather, we figure it out later. Is we just become a generalist, but the space that as a country within South Africa we need specialists. So that's something that we also need to advocate for. It doesn't mean that you need to have a big business but you must focus at least on something. And the second one is that to put your head down, just do the work. And if you do the work, like you said, even when Nyeleti was started and you guys were being employed, it was a benefit because most of you were already, I would say, equipped enough to understand the trade and what needs to go on. And ultimately, the business needs the intellectual acumen so that you can do the small things. If you can do the small things, then it's easier. And the last one that I took out is going back to basics. Going back to basics, meaning that you need to also get a coach so that then you can understand how is it that you can run ultimately. If you want to go into business, you need to make sure that you understand the basics of what it takes to run a business. So I really do hope that as the questions, because I'm seeing also the questions for those that are in our team's session. Please, you can write your questions. They're coming hard and fast. So indeed, these 3 points, I think they really give an opportunity for one to actually start the year ahead And what maybe I want to ask is probably maybe on a lighter note. I see that I would say God favors us all, but also in terms of your story now, I would not be shining enough of light if I also don't shine God's light on your life to then say a lot of things, when they were not working out, you had the support, even now with the business, you had the support. It felt like an arranged marriage. On a lighter note, did you have an arranged marriage?
No.
Yeah.
When I was young and handsome,
Yeah.
I could speak for myself.
So no, I like that. I like that. And I think that moves me then to the point of ethics within our industry. We can't. It's not a space that is we are taught a lot with when we are still in university when we're still studying. And having a platform like this, I see it as within the African culture where we are told that there was a time when grannies or uncles or grandfathers would sit around the fire. I'm yet to still have a fire moment personally, but I see this as us sitting around the fire to understand what type of ethical behavior does an engineer need to have, and what is it that personally you've experienced where all you've heard, right, and which have come to your knowledge, and what is it that young people can actually do, because we are seeing all these dilemmas. We're now speaking of the 30% predicament that government is finding itself in. We're speaking now of consulting. That a lot of us we're speaking about these young guys that are starting to come into industry, and there's a power play. So what are the stories that you've heard, and how would you help young people navigate around the point of ethics when it comes to the industry, from your point of view?
Look, with ethics, we mustn't think it's just a company policy. Ethics are an individual matter. You can be in a company that encourages ethical behavior, but if your ethical center of balance is off, you can, as a young professional, compromise firstly yourself, your career. You can easily sabotage it, because these things, they do come out from time to time. And secondly, you can compromise the entire company, because when things happen, I will go to examples. When things happen, they will go for us as directors of the company, but they will also go for the young person, and that can spell the end of one's career. Look, when these things happen, they look attractive because they involve money. We live in a society which is materially inclined and money crazy. There are a lot of Buddhists. I told these young people one time about the G-Wagon, and they always remind me of them. But there are these things which are screaming loudly, particularly to young people, which makes it even more difficult when they are faced with these situations where they are offered money. I will deal with money, and as my last point, deal with ethical behavior in delivering the service that you are getting paid for. But this one is for me the most crucial. But fortunately for companies which are established, it becomes kind of difficult. For example, we have 6 directors in our company. So if you approach one, he has to convince his 5 colleagues, and that's how these people who approach people work. They want to try on someone who is a sole agent, takes decisions on his own, is not accountable to a bigger grouping. Yeah, and things like this, it is my opinion, then prevalent there. I'm not saying they don't happen in the bigger companies, but they are more prevalent where an individual can be spoken to and you can just take a decision. It doesn't have to discuss the matter with any other person. I've had a few approaches well, myself, which is where I'm picking up this experience. And oh, no, these guys are looking for someone because they will ask. So you don't have tell them the structure of our organization and the effect that I'm not only responsible for my wife, Norma Temba, and Fumi. I'm responsible for a lot of these guys, so I can never compromise their livelihoods. And they'll say, but don't you have another company on the sideline? We can channel this thing and it won't affect people, and I'll tell them to go fly a kite, but in a nice way, because you don't want to create enemies unnecessarily. And then for me, the approaches came from Mpumalanga. For me, I in and around Gauteng, I'm not saying I speak it clean, but yeah, it came from Mpumalanga.
So, no, that's the next
But
thing.
then the other component of this is a person being honest about the work that they are doing for a company. It applies across the board, not only to young people. I mean, if you get paid to do something, make sure you do that. Because ethics really, for me, they start there when you alone and you say, okay, I can take this hour, do that, and I will record this as this in my timesheet. And it starts there, and you don't want to grow an animal that will devour you. So integrity corruption is an animal that eventually devours you. Eventually, you might be lucky and never get caught, but it has devoured so many people that I know, and I'm sure.
I'm really saddened by moments when we come in any platform and we speak about ethics, and it's in a context that sometimes it's seen as something that's out there, right? That we have to sit under a tree and listen to somebody or be in a room and just create an environment. But then when you really look into into how what is defined as unethical behavior, it's more on our just simple things that we do alone.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as a country now, and the youth, as the youth, we don't have hope. And we say that we are looking at the leaders that are out there, those who are taking us forward to actually make sure that the country is put in good eyes out there. But then when you look into what's happening within our infrastructure, when you look at what's happening within our society as a whole, you know, there's so many things that keeps one thinking twice to say, should I continue on this journey, you know, or should I just become also unethical, but I hope, you know, nobody will find me. And it's a sad thing, and it's a sad reality that a lot of people are going through. And I really do appreciate in terms of you sharing that there is a simpler way, or rather a difficult way that I had to deal with this thing, because it obviously was not easy. The people would have probably said they promised you a G-Wagon, you know, and then, you know, it is this, but it's in the small things, you know, the type of person you are, what keeps you grounded, how is it that you then are able to move forward, what type of decisions do you make within your life, and cheating as a simple thing, you know, in that you're supposed to do the work in a particular way and you didn't do it, and then you're cutting corners and all those things. So I really do hope that from having our guests, you know, here, to take it that having ethical behavior goes beyond something that you might think everybody will see, but it's also what you do when you're in your own quiet space. And are you ethical to yourself, or are you unethical? And that, unfortunately, like you say, it's a beast. Once you've fed that animal long enough, you become dependent on it so much that you are known for that. And in the spaces where other people are in, it also affects work. You know, I was speaking to Godfrey earlier on to say some spaces you need probably a dictator, you know, to root out, you know, or to build a culture of ethical behavior. So I really do think that we might be talking about technical things within our industry, but the reason we don't have service delivery also is attributed largely to unethical behavior. And now I won't speak about politics, but it's another space. So I thank you very much for that point and your inputs. If one has to leave this seminar webinar that we've been in now, I would assume that there's something that you'd like them to take away, you know. And with that being said, the question that comes across from what you've said throughout the seminar now is you've had an opportunity to be helped. You're able to put yourself out there, and you're able to be helped, and you were able to pitch up. And your school marks, obviously, when a team of people said, let's start a business, be part of the employment team, you came up, you ultimately are now the chairman of the organization. You had to pull your socks as well, but somebody had to pull you up as well. So now we speak about the principle of lift as you rise. What is it that you can advise our delegates who are attending now to better understand that principle, and what benefits is it that you obviously sharing more that you've seen, and how can we do that going forward, because we are moving into uncharted territory, even politically, that will very much affect what's happening in industry. There's so many dynamics, so I just want to understand more on that notion. Obviously, even though I'm speaking about politics, I don't want this to be mistaken with the Price and Mzansi slogan. So what does it? How can young people express that notion of lifting nationals?
Look, I think there are for me, a number of avenues that young people can follow. I'm of a strong opinion that you can only pull up someone who has his hand or her hand up to be pulled up. But if someone is not raising their hand, it's a difficult ask. We can have general programs in a company, but it takes an individual to raise their hands, and you then pull them up. The avenues that will ensure that young people raise their hands. I mean, there are Leonard institution, your CESA, and there are various departments, and young people can get in there if you decided you want to be a specialist in this field. You can go to CESA and join, and there are other institutions, and then broaden your scope. You will there interact with CESA persons who are specialists in that field. So that is one. That's even before at Nyeledi or any of our management staff see that not this person is raising their hands, because we can see even if a person is not physically raising their hand, you can see through a person's behavior at that moment that they are raising their hand. So that's on a technical competency level. But you then have CESA. The YPF is for me one of the best CESA intervention to assist young people. I'll now tell you, I listened freely to your points, but there is one point for me that I didn't pick up there, and this is a training to lead, because CESA YPF trains you to lead. It trains you to be able to do public speaking, because you're talking to your colleagues and you are leading in a small scale. But leadership is a principle which can be upscaled to a much bigger organization. So I will then encourage young people to participate in this, because you know what you want to be, a specialist or to be involved in the business of consulting engineering, and in many instances, generalists get involved in the business of running a company. But that's in most cases. There are outliers where even specialists do, but it's not a lot of cases. So those are the avenues. Then we will see through the courses that one is requesting us to fund to attend that now. This person's interest is in this and that, and yeah, we can then try to, or start then to mentor them. Yeah, I think I'm revealing my secret to some of the people that I've from reality that I've been chatting to. Yeah, it's because we need to see the first and the harm from an individual, because it doesn't help to try and give food to someone you don't know whether they are hungry or not. Yeah.
No, thank you very much. I think I can safely say we are hungry. That's why we are here. Yeah, we even just giving thanks to our attendees who are online. There's been quite a consistent number. So I definitely believe that in terms of the young people that raised up their hand that they wanna lead or serve within the YPF, it means that such platform, they are able to what you've said to us here today and shared. It does leave that notion to then say that you need to pitch up for yourself, but also you're not an island. You need to make sure that you surround yourself with people that can support the type of person you are, more of an environment, that is conducive for you. And unfortunately, as a country, we are going through a lot. Finances, the rent. I'm speaking like this because I pay bills. So because I pay bills, I understand that also it affects, one person having to say, I will continue on this journey to become an engineer. What type of an engineer? Should I be in business? Should I now just become a specialist? So the information that you've given us today, I really do believe that it will help a lot of people who are watching, joining us today on the seminar. So it really was a great opportunity for me to get that insight. And I hope that our people online, I see there are questions. So what I will do, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached, an amazing, So we've reached that end of my grilling questions. I tried to be as light as possible. But I'm glad you took off your jacket as well. It was not too intense. But I maybe just before I close off, what is it that for you've taken out from such a platform, and why do you think it's important? And I always like to give a responsibility to anybody who I speak to, especially who is of a particular privilege. What is it that I'm assuming that there should be a lot of older people, not just us young people within this call. What is it that you want to say to them? To say that how can they bring that assistance to young people? And then what did we take out from a session like today? Would you come back again? And would you recommend it to somebody else? Yeah.
I will definitely recommend it to someone else. I made a commitment to our CEO, Chris, that I will bring my former chairperson, Stanford, to this forum. We might have to do it virtually, but I made a commitment when I was sitting with Chris, waiting for us to start. Look, one thing that I didn't mention when speaking of ethics, my other personal experience, good one, at African those years when I left them, I was a director and leading a project, and it was at a critical stage. So my last day at African, I slept at African's offices. They were still in Van Dollar Street in the CBD of Johannesburg. That's the Johannesburg branch, and I wept through the night. And if you pitch in the following day, you will think that I was still continuing because I hadn't packed anything. But fast forward. The program I was working on, it was a ramp contract repair and maintenance of prisons, and I was doing people for prison. Then when I joined Nyeleti, a few other appointments on that program followed me. Yeah, because they saw the commitment, and I didn't have to work through the night. It wasn't my problem anymore. So going back to doing what we're supposed to do even when no one sees. I think for me, that's one big takeaway. Because you see, with ethics, people can see it in your face. It might look like it's something that you can't see through your interaction with people. You can I mean, when Nyelet was still young, we did a few projects with Africa. But say, I mean, I was not committed, because it's commitment, discipline, and character that matches into ethics. And we wouldn't have had those projects. We've seen it with our soccer players, with people in the arts and culture, that your skill alone, not mixed with dedication, discipline, and character, it doesn't work for you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. I really want to say I applaud you for making the time to actually share with us. I do know that they are waiting for you, the elected, to come back, but also we want you to also tire. So don't retire yet. Just make them feel that pressure. So yeah. So with that being said, personally, I think from the YPF team, we thank you very much for having to have made the time, and we definitely keep you in check with another guest on our seminars. So we're gonna move on to another part of our program, and that's the questions. So I will go first. Maybe if I can start on our chat before I move into the what do you call it? I move into the virtual hands. Yes. Okay, I see. CUCC was really giving a compliment. So good morning. I'm looking forward to this session. Some much needed inspiration and encouragement as we start this year. Thank you very much, CUCC, for that comment. And then we see a question from Dombi Dube. Question for the guest. Was his career curated from the start, and did mentors play a role in his success? I think maybe if you can just take that first question, and then because I don't know how many there are. Maybe sir, if you can take that question. Was your I think you said a bit about in terms of it being a not a curated but more of a mistake. Yeah. But I think the big one for me that also maybe a lot of people will want to hear is, did the mentors play a role in your success today? And we often don't give credit to mentors because they come and go, in our lives. So personally, what is it that you found with mentorship?
I value mentors. Even before I became an engineer, I had people, because I'm grounded in church, mentoring me. So I can give you the whole list of people. Industry, the first ever person to mentor me was Cliff Macmillan from Ovara. At Nyeleti, both Stan and Pi mentored me a great deal. They actually got me into trouble. They supported me to join CESA, join Gamma, FEDIC Africa now. And they mentors play a big role. But I want to go back to what I said. You must be in their face asking questions, and because they are not magicians, they cannot. I can personally not know what any of our young people are going through, or what technical questions they have, and I will encourage young people. And if you identify me as your mentor, I'm mentoring quite a few people, even outside and the industry. Yeah, just approach me, and I will prompt you, but you will have to do the bulk of the work. I will prompt you to say, hey, by the way, we haven't met for a year. I'm looking at one in front of me.
Noted. Yeah, thanks. Talk about being put on the spot. Yeah, I will definitely have to revisit my calendar. I'll put you as number one as well. Thank you very much. I think that answer definitely does give also context into the next question that we had in terms of how can young engineers actually find mentors. And something that you mentioned is you need to identify what is it that you need, what you want, and also when you get that person, therefore then also take it upon yourself to ask the questions, or rather do the work as you know. So just to move to another question, because I think the mentors one we've covered. Tulani Biela asks, what are your concerns about the state of our infrastructure in South Africa due to current climate, and what advice can you give to young engineers that they must be careful of? Thanks. So that's a question. I think we can take that one.
I think there are a lot of concerns on infrastructure in South Africa, not only from climate change, but we have a big maintenance problem, because if, for example, you don't maintain your stormwater system and you get these crazy rainfalls we are getting now, which people are ascribing them to climate change, then the damage becomes big, because you have now this massive storm in this blocked stormwater conduit, and the pipe can take so much. So it's critical. I think in one of the gases media releases we did in 2015, we spoke to the establishment of the maintenance fund. I think it's critical because that's a starting point. I mean, to try and redo the infrastructure to comply with many other issues now that we are experiencing. It's not financially feasible, but maintenance, I think, is something we need to, as a country, to focus in. Sadly, we are building infrastructure and prematurely destroying it because we are not maintaining it. It's supposed to last 20 years, but it lasts 5 years. And then it must be reconstructed or rehabilitated. And we need to maintain what we invest the money in. That will make more money available for implementing and denting than this ever increasing backlog in infrastructure provision. But if you're not maintaining, now you are walking backwards. Yeah, we can see it with infrastructure. I was in Bloemfontein last week, Tuesday and Friday, and in the roads there, and we're talking of national and provincial roads, a big mess.
No. You as we're talking now, you're making my heart go into some palpitations there, because I'm really concerned in terms of what I have seen and what within the corridors I speak with either colleagues or friends about the infrastructure that's within the country. And I now have put it towards we've got a disaster management fund, and then or rather relief fund, and we also have a maintenance fund. And when you speak to organizations like the Auditor General, and then they inform you that maintenance funds within organizations within municipalities are actually returned back, and now you ask yourself, what we're then tomorrow going to spend for a state of disaster that's going to come because there was a heavy storm and all these things. So as you were saying, I'm really saddened by the state of our country, and I do hope that everyone who's listening, whichever opportunities that they are exposed to or wherever they are working, they make sure that they take it upon themselves to actually impact change on that. We have another point, but I think this is a point from Takalani, saying ethical behavior has become such a scarce lifestyle or choice, career choice. I hope our young members become further encouraged through your exemplary journey, Mr. Taylor, through CESA Code of Ethics and CESA Ethics. That's noted. And then there is a point, I think, that speaks also to by M. Van Koller, who says CESA is a civil engineer, if you're a civil engineer in terms of looking for mentors. So that's a good point for those who are looking for mentors. Please take that into consideration. And then Courage says, I think this is a note, so just for everyone, many young people are caught up in the race for power and building impressive resume. In some jobs and groups, there's a habit of talking about helping each other grow, especially when cameras are around for LinkedIn and CVs. But sadly, the real sincerity seems to be disappearing. And it's more important, it's more about looking good, even if you have a role where you could connect with or mentor someone. Many aren't really helping those who need it. Some people hold important positions, but if you check how many people they've actually supported and helped, the numbers are quite low. We have CV LinkedIn influencers now like Instagram, but on the ground doing close to nothing. This is actually something that is it's worrying, because I think even when you look at the type of space we've gone into, back in the day, you would always know that there's that one shop in the community where these families famous, but now that family would also help. You know, they would either contribute or maybe in my area, you know, I knew that my grandmother would go because there was a shop, you know, to take out something at credit, and then at the end of the month when she gets money, she will then actually pay back. So now as a point, I think what do you think about the word that I'm looking for is entitlement, but also quick rewards. What should young people do to avoid that and the benefits, you know, of just having to sit down and put your head down and doing the work? Personally, what are some of the things you can share towards that?
Yeah, look, I think initially I spoke about child death. And I think what you are raising speaks to prematurely jumping. I think for me, money is going to be always an issue. If there is a course, I could suggest that universities offer to engineers. It's not only affecting engineers, it's affecting everyone. But if there is a course, I will really suggest universities offer to our graduate is financial management. The demands are real. I see them. They are real. But I think as people, not only young people, because also us old people, we fall into that trap. We need to slow down a bit. There are things that you can get today, but most of the things you will get them in due course, and that due course differs for each and every one of us. I think that's the main cause of people jumping from one job to the next, because I want to compete with the Jones. Secondly, the issue of pressure being put on our black staff. Incidentally, even when we were young, the guys that ran your ESCOM and were transit, these are the people we studied engineering with, but were extracted from engineering and plugged into those. There was great money, but yeah, we need engineers in our country. We need engineers, and yeah, financial management. That's what I will recommend.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that's very true, because money makes the world go round, right? And so we need to find ways of how we can better manage that. So I think now we will be, those are all the statements, points, and questions within our chats. So I think maybe let me start if there is, no, let me start online before I take questions on the floor in terms of the guests that are also joining us physically here. Can I see if there is anybody who has a question? You can raise your hand and then you can unmute, but just raise your hand first, and then we will then unmute you after. See a hand. No, it's fine. I think our guests, they have been attending a lot of Teams meetings, so they understand that you ask a question on the chats, you don't speak. So, okay, then I will then move within the guests that we have in the office. here. Going once. Yes, you can. I think you can just introduce yourself and then just for those who are online.
Okay, my name is Tatish Pomba and I'm one of the junior engineers at Medic Consulting. Yeah, so I have a question for AP. What has been your biggest career challenge and how have you overcome it? Whether technical or social?
Look, I naturally I'm not a speaker, so I was put into this space by CESA, and I had to learn to talk to people like I'm doing, but naturally speaking to me doesn't feature that high. So that was the biggest challenge I had to overcome. I attended a public speaking just before I became CESA president, because I was seriously worried. I attended this public speaking company. I think they are called The Voice. They are in is it the Voice Clinic? The Voice Clinic in Oxford Road. Yeah. Somewhere Rosebank. In Rosebank, yeah. So I had to do that in order for me to be able to do public speaking.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's a beautiful question. Anything else?
Putting heading from Unity Consulting as well. I'm an engineering technologist. I think for me, what are some, you spoke about the challenges maybe that you faced from a personal point of view. What are some of the challenges that you faced in the business aspects and in industry, and also what kept you going during such times?
Yeah, look, I think the latest in our business, I would talk to that is COVID. When COVID came to us, unfortunately, one of our senior people was also retiring. So that was a big challenge for us, because we had to, within a short period of time, change the whole management structure. And we did it through a meeting in Teams, because we were locked down and we couldn't meet. But yeah, we pulled through, and things that keep me waking up in the morning and doing the work. I strongly believe that as leaders of our businesses, we are supporting you. There is a financial benefit for me, but we are really at your service in making sure that there is work to be done, that you get paid. Because we had an instance where during COVID, money was very scarce. And I've told these guys that we then, as managers, cut our salaries by 20% to make sure that none of them is negatively impacted by a decision to cut salary, decision to lay off people. By God's grace, we never laid off individuals. The only thing we didn't do, we didn't offer them increases because there was no money. But we cut our salaries in order for them to be gainfully employed. Remember what I said, we have invested a lot of money on these beautiful people, resources, training, and to get a new person, you can get someone, but yeah, it's a lot of investment. So we are protecting our investment.
Indeed, indeed. That's people who understand maintenance. Right?
Yeah.
So no, thank you very much. That's a beautiful question and a good answer to hear. Yes.
Yeah, I'll go.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Bushent. Yeah, also from the my question for you is, and I'm going to take it back a bit. You spoke about you studying in engineering by mistake. Your eyes were in the health sciences. Yeah, but, did you ever find yourself getting discouraged in terms of the challenges that you faced? You mentioned retrenchments, and I'm sure there are other challenges that you faced when you were starting in civil engineering. Did you ever get discouraged and you looked back and you thought of that health science career to first wanted to venture to? If so, how did you mentally update yourself personally? I heard you mentioning family supporting you, your wife, and also people around you supporting you. I want to know personally, like mentally, how do you uplift yourself? Because it's easy for someone who chose civil engineering from the get-go to actually carry on when facing challenges. It's easy because that's what they wanted to do from the beginning. But for someone who kind of stumbled in it and faced challenges, how did you keep yourself going?
Yeah, maybe I should start by saying once I stumbled, I got committed. I got committed. Honestly, I don't remember during that period regretting when we were retrenched. It was for a period of 9 months that was not working, doing odd jobs at Wits University. There's a lot of people who assisted me. A friend of mine, Professor Mark Alexander, I was able to pour petrol in my car because I assisted him in his research work. Pushed him, he got me in, gave me a stipend. I was able to drive my car, collect money end of the month for petrol. But I can't remember really regretting. But what kept me going is the support of the people. Like now I'm remembering Prof. Mark Alexander. And the mere fact that it wasn't only consulting engineering that was affected. The whole country was affected. So that gave me some weird peace that now I'm not alone, and a few of my friends were also at home, very intelligent people. So that kept me going. And look, we're going to have in South Africa, things will be better. So we moved on one day at a time.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Now you know, once you get in, you get in.
Exactly. Okay, so my question maybe of Gisele Matamata, also from Unity. My question came from the discussion we're having about starting new companies and basically how you came up into the partnership with the team you had at the beginning. And it made me wonder, if you look at how the structures of consulting engineers are, you start out on the technical side and you build up your technical acumen. And my question is basically how we've structured our companies. Is it efficient and conducive to business? Starting up with people more on the technical aspect of it, and now building up a business. That's usually you think maybe an MBA or something like that, but a lot of consulting engineers have structures where you've come from the technical. And maybe wonder, is it efficient? Not that it needs complete change or a complete turnaround, but if you were to improve it in how we've built up the structure, how would you improve it? Or is how we're running it as efficiently as possible?
Look, for our size, I'm of the opinion that it's an efficient structure, because by their nature, consulting engineering companies are owned by employees, people that started them. If you look, for example, at Van Dijk and Low, it was Van Dijk and Low, the company that eventually became part of GIP, the one that pioneered Stanford, Stephen and I worked for. It was Jordan and Dubai. It was started by the two professors at Takis. I think they are retired now, and they run it as such. But then, as soon as a company grows, you need to rethink your strategy. If you look at these multinationals in South Africa, you will find many of them who are CEOs running those companies are not engineers. Those who are engineers are doing the job full time and not doing any technical work. Their size can carry that, but in our case, our size cannot. So we have to contend with what we have and grow the company and
Restructures.
Thank you very much. Any last takers or sorry, we couldn't last. Yeah, maybe take us. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I just want to ask one more question. Hello, my name is Victor from Cybest. I'm a structural engineer there, and I'm also a vice chair of CESA FLP with us. And I just wanted to ask one last question in terms of personal branding within the industry. How would you recommend that young engineers market themselves and brand themselves to become more visible within the industry and get known for their technical skills as individuals?
Yeah, look, I think let me tell you this story. I have plenty of stories. The clients that I came with to Nyeleti are clients that I established while at Africa, and they followed me to Nyeleti because we establish a trust relationship in terms of one character, in terms of to delivering to them. I think that's the best place to start is with your clients, because these are the people who, when you decide to start your own company, or you are elevated in your current company to be a leader, these are the people who support you. So you must be seen as, I remember those years at African, they will say, if you want it done, give it to Eddie. So you want to be, to be known as a person, not that I'm smart or efficient, but yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Tela, for firstly giving us your time, and secondly for actually sharing so much of the person who you are. I would assume that considering that we just had COVID and a lot of things have happened, a lot of people also did not know you. So we now actually also have new people who knew you because of new people were able to enter the market. So thank you very much, and I do hope that your story has inspired everyone who's listening and given them an opportunity to go forward and actually navigate better their lives. We do know that it's not easy, but once you've decided, have a mindset of just continue on the path. So thank you as well to everyone who has attended this session. It really means a lot that you're able to take the time. We are clocking it over 100 people just at a time. So thank you very much for everybody who made a commitment online, physical. And what I'll say as well is that within the CESA YPF, we are going to have these leadership webinars going forward. So please just have a lookout when you get an invite. Please make sure to attend. And just as a parting shot as well, to just remind everyone that these seminars are aimed specifically at closing the skills gap in the engineering environment through empowering the youth. So this is youth-based. And also underlying the reach for the seminars is the philosophy that sharing the unique experience by our senior engineers will result in more informed young professionals who will make informed choices to either grow within the firms of their employment or start their own consulting companies. So for those speakers that will be coming in the future, we'll be engaging in topics that cover engineering, business entrepreneurship, engineering career options, and young professionals forums. So we do understand that we live obviously in the country of South Africa. So we have the NDP vision that's themed our future, make it work. So we are inviting senior consulting engineers to also invest in our youth and develop the development of South Africa in its consulting engineering field, and ensuring that all the critical skills where there is also poverty, reduction of inequality, and creation of jobs and empowerment of livelihoods and economic growth are actually curbed. So we need to make sure that these platforms exist. So thank you very much to everybody that was able to attend. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, from CESA YPF, we say thank you, bon voyage, and enjoy the year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.